Hi guys, welcome to the Artificial Intelligence Around Us workshop with Mission MathMinds. We're really excited that you guys are here and we hope you guys enjoy what we've prepared for you. Today is going to be a really fun, interactive experience and opportunity for you all. Whether you're experienced in AI, this is your first time learning about it, we're really excited to give this opportunity to you all. Feel free to, you can turn on your video, keep it off too, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So, my name is Ruby. I'm going to do a quick introduction of myself. Many of you know me, but I'm the founder and CEO of Mission MathMinds. I'm going to talk a little bit about my passion, and hopefully you can relate to that, kind of understanding why these workshops are important and why we're hosting them. As a student, when I was younger, I was involved in math competitions, STEM opportunities around us, and I think it's so important that, as an advocate for increasing girls' interest in STEM, that workshops like this are hosted, female role models like our speaker Haripriya, who we'll introduce in a little bit, are sharing their experiences, talking about what the opportunities are out there. So I'm really, really excited that we're able to host this opportunity, share it with you guys, and build this community. I like to describe myself as a passionate advocate for increasing girls' interest in STEM. And at Mission MathMinds, we do that in so many ways. We have volunteering opportunities, these, mentoring program opportunities, building community leaders, and so that's really important to me. But I'm really glad to meet all of you. I'm excited that we get to do this together, but that's who I am, and I'll be the workshop leader today, along with Haripriya. And so before we get started, I'm going to share a little bit about our nonprofit, our organization, talking a little bit about why it's great that you're here. And so our mission as an organization is empowering girls in STEM via our math first approach. And what that means is we not only show girls the opportunities in STEM, but we show them why and how they can get involved themselves. We talk about, at a young age, how you can start to involve yourself in these fields. It's not scary at all, even if you have something called math anxiety, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. I know that a lot of the time people don't know about the fields in STEM. It's kind of a blur to them. They think of STEM, they think of engineering, science, medical field, and that's it. But there's so much more to the fields out there and so many more opportunities for you guys to get involved in. So as an organization, we love sharing about that, spreading awareness through these fun and interactive opportunities. And so that's what we do as an organization. Specifically, what we do to kind of get girls more interested are these. So we have a community of female role models, such as myself, Haripriya here, and many, many more leaders who are so excited and happy to share their journeys, their experiences, to better interest you guys, grow your passion, which I think is so beautiful that we're able to do as an organization. And not only is it a great resource for you guys to check out on our website, you can also nominate female leaders in your community to share their stories as well. And I think that's really amazing that you guys have this opportunity to not only hear from these female role models who might be over the world, across nationally, but you can also share people in your lives, their stories, for other girls out there. So I think that's amazing. This workshop is part of our larger mentoring program. We host workshops every month looking at the different opportunities in STEM, talking to leaders, hearing about how you can get involved yourself. And then also kind of breaking down, these big STEM fields that, a lot of people don't know much about. They don't know how to get involved, breaking down step by step how you can start now as a high schooler, as a middle schooler, to go into those fields. So I think that's awesome. And then we also have conferences every year. That's more where you can check out on our website, see more information about that. But those are really great opportunities for, us to come together as a community, celebrate the achievements of our female leaders, kind of a larger event that we host once a year, talking about the bigger ideas and kind of our vision for the future. We also have a supporting children's sector. That doesn't relate to as much as what we're doing today, but that is where we involve our community service. We have lots of volunteering opportunities for you guys out there to involve, this whole idea of increasing passion in STEM, and the community element is really important as well. So definitely check that out on our website at missionmathminds.org. There's a lot of opportunities out there for middle and high school girls looking to get involved in not only the community, but to kind of, interact with their passion for STEM. So I hope you guys are able to check that out. But today's workshop is focused on AI, which is artificial intelligence. You'll hear us use the word AI to describe it But the main goals for today's workshop are to learn about and interact with AI. And what that means is it's not a lecture, right? These workshops are meant for you to be interacting with AI, learning about how you can apply to society around us and kind of where you see it right now, because AI is something that we're learning about more and more with more research, more projects, more creations that you'll hear about soon. But that's something that we're going to talk about today, is kind of how where you see it in your life and how you can apply it around you. And then how we're going to do that is by hearing from an award-winning AI expert and female role model. I think, growing up, it's so important to hear from female leaders talking about things I'm interested in. It helps me get a better idea of where I can be in the future. So I hope listening to Haripriya today is going to give you a much better idea of what working in the AI field is like, experiencing and learning about that. And then also, we're going to talk a lot about how you middle schoolers and high schoolers can get involved in these fields in the future. So thank you so much for being here, guys. I'm really, really excited that we're able to do this together. And I'm going to hand it over to Haripriya. And I also actually want to quickly mention that, like I said at the beginning, a lot of people don't know about these fields out there within STEM. It's a broad field, right? We think of science, technology, engineering, and math. But actually, there's a lot of subdivisions within STEM that people don't know about but are very interested in. And for example, artificial intelligence, there's only 9.1% of specialists are women, which is way less than half, barely 10%, right? And so when we are doing these workshops, our hope is to get more girls involved, get more girls interested and aware of what's going on in the AI field. So again, my hope for today's workshop is that you guys are able to learn more, feel more excited about when it comes to AI, and share more knowledge with the community around us. So thank you guys for being here. I'm gonna give it over to Haripriya.
Hey, hi everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction, Ruby, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to your organization. As Ruby already introduced, I'm Haripriya Mehta. I have my bachelor's and master's in electrical engineering and computer science from MIT with a concentration on AI. I'm currently a software engineer at Microsoft and co-founder of Meta Plus, where I teach middle school and high school students different AI camps, as well as other computer science camps, such as AI and visual arts and AI machine learning research bootcamp. And I have been involved in several AI and ML research projects and internships throughout college and after college in healthcare, retail, art, and cloud. So I just want to kind of get to know you, all of you, a little bit. So feel free to turn on your videos if you feel so comfortable and shout out, or you can use the chat function. But what grades are you guys in? And are you familiar? Have you heard about AI/ML before? Sophomore. 6. Oh, sophomore.
Yeah, if you guys are comfortable, go ahead and turn on your cameras. You can even just use the audio function, the microphone.
Awesome. So it looks like we have a whole range. So I'm going to start off with our first question here. So you guys might have heard of AI and machine learning in the news. So in your words, what is AI and machine learning, and where is it being used? What do you guys think? Anyone? Don't make me call out on people.
I think that AI, when I think of AI, I think of, the Google Home speakers around us, or like Google Assistant on our phones. I think it's so cool how far we've come starting like years ago with, Siri, Google Assistant, all the things they can do for us now. So that's just something that, I've seen around us, which is pretty cool. And I would love to understand how actually, speech recognition works.
Yeah. So speech recognition and specifically natural language processing in AI and machine learning is a very, very huge field, definitely used in voice assistants coming from Amazon and Apple and Google. And yeah, that's definitely a great application. I'm seeing that also being used in hospitals, and that's indeed correct that there's a big push for AI ML to be used in hospitals. We have an answer for what is AI and machine learning. And so we have how a machine predicts things based on previous data. Yes, that's indeed correct. And it is used almost in every field. We have someone say they think of robots when they think of AI machine learning, and that's true as well. Robots can be using AI and machine learning. So let's kind of dive deeper now. Um, so traditional programming, usually you had a program, you inserted some data in it, and it gave some output. Now, so that's what you see on the left. On the right, what you see in AI machine learning, you give the output or the label, and then you put lots and lots of data, and the computer spits out a program. And this program can be used for new data, and that program was going to give you a predicted input. So let me show you an example in a bit. Um, Let me first talk about the uses of machine learning. So kind of like we said, it's used in a multitude of areas. We have our voice assistants for sure. We have spam filters, like in email. If an email is spam or not spam, they use, again, natural language processing. Facial recognition. So if you have like an iPhone X and you use your face to unlock it, that's another application of machine learning. Any sort of speech recognition, voice assistance. If we want to generate new images, so maybe you all have heard of DALL-E 2, which has come out recently. If you want to generate new images, you can use AI and machine learning to do that. Recommendation systems, so something like Netflix or YouTube, when it recommends you videos that you want to watch based on videos you already have watched in life, that uses machine learning. It's also used in games like Go and chess. You can use a robot to play against a human being. And we'll talk about several more later as well. So let me specifically go into the example of image recognition. So the way image recognition works is you first choose the number of classes you want and which classes you want to recognize on. So suppose I wanted to recognize and distinguish cats from dogs from butterflies. Then what I do is I put tens of thousands of images of cats, tens of thousands of images of dogs, and tens of thousands of images of butterflies. The machine learning model sort of does its magic. It's not magic, it's math. But you input an unseen image of, let's say, a dog. So this is not an image that the model has been trained on. The computer has never seen it. And if our model has been trained well, it should be able to correctly predict that this image is of a dog. So I want to show an example, and I might have to reshare my screen here. Let me share the sound. This is the award-winning project that I worked on at the MIT Media Lab when I was a junior in college. Yeah, I'll just play it. Turn the volume a little down so you can hear me speak as well on top of the music. So essentially what Paper Dreams is, it's a creative storytelling interface where if you draw something and you're not really sure what to draw next, let's say you're drawing like a comic strip or something, this tool will help you give you ideas and help you draw something next to continue the story. And this is all used using different AI models. You will see like automatic colorization, which is an application of AI. You will see natural language processing. When you see that you can write words and it will draw that. Image generation, text recognition. And so the idea is that amateurs and professionals can use this whenever they're facing artist block.
I want a flower, a bird, and give me some other things.
So there was an application of speech recognition. And our idea was that even the elderly can use this. So if they're facing like this early onset of Alzheimer's and dementia, they can use this tool to constantly engage themselves. And so the similarity is determined by AI. Like cat and rocket ship are not at all similar, but maybe you want that in your story. And so you can see the storyboard here that has been created. So that's paper dream. Okay. Awesome. I've seen people in my direct chat. They like it. So cool. So let's go back to machine learning. So what is involved in this machine learning? This model. So I already said that this isn't magic; it's mathematics. Other fields that are involved is biology, because essentially the models that we are making are mirroring the human brain. Computer science, of course, we are coding. Calculus and statistics, that's the mathematics. Psychology, again, human brain. Philosophy, because we want to make sure that the models we're making are ethical. And linguistics, something like the voice assistant that we have been talking about that involves, language. So here I have a picture of Elon Musk, whom I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. And this is his quote. And this is the quote that my artificial intelligence professor at MIT had shown on the first day of class. And so he says that with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon, which is a very strong statement, right? And so there are definitely a lot of fear mongers among us, who kind of scare people and infuse people's minds with the idea that artificial intelligence is going to take over the world. But the next thing that my professor used to do was, let me show you. He would just cross out the word and change it with statistics, because essentially artificial intelligence is nothing but statistics. It's a sort of fancy word, but it's nothing but math. And so then if you read this sentence again with statistics, you're summoning the demon, then that just sounds funny. But I do want to ask you a serious question. Should we be scared of AI? Will it take over the world? So feel free to let me know your thoughts either through chat or you can say it out loud. Any ideas, any thoughts, anything you heard in the news? It's okay if you're not right. There's no real right or wrong answer. Any thoughts? Not really, because we coded, not them. Okay. Maybe, we have a maybe. Okay. Anyone else?
Maybe think about where AI could take over our lives and why that might affect us a lot.
We have a don't think so. Yeah, maybe if we think about, where it can take over, or if we should be scared of AI, why should we be scared? Any ideas? Any thoughts? Let's think about the fact that we are training on lots and lots of data. Is there anything we should be scared of when we are training on data? Yeah, bias. I got a message that says bias. Yeah, the data set could be biased. Anything else? I don't think it'll go to the extent of taking over humans, but it will take over our jobs. Okay. Actually, there is a very interesting book by someone working at Microsoft. And his argument is that it's not going to take over our jobs. It's going to help us do our jobs better. And yeah, so it's an opinion for sure. We don't know. I don't think it will completely take over our jobs. I think there'll be other jobs that are created. AI makes our life easier, but we'll see, I guess. So let's first talk about like some misconceptions. I think a lot of times when people think AI is going to take over the world and they're scared is because they feel that general AI exists, which means that AI can do everything. One model can just do it all. It can cook for you, clean for you, take over the world for you, anything. And that's not really the case. One model can only do pretty much one thing at a time. Sometimes people combine models and do multiple things, but at the end of the day, it's one model for one thing, like we saw with the image recognition. So it's trained to do one thing. And then the next thing is AI has its issues, right? At the end of the day, it's us who are training it. So it's not the AI to blame. If anything goes wrong, it's us, right? And the data set that we use, which is what the model basically is trying to find the patterns from and trying to replicate, the data set, that we use could have its issues, right? There might be data that is racist, data that is sexist, other sorts of issues. There might be biased data, and that could cause problems. And that's when AI can, quote unquote, get a little bit dangerous. The other issue of AI is that it's a black box. So does anyone know what I mean when I say black box? Any ideas? You can't ask it to tell you why it predicted something. Yeah, and there's an input and an output. You don't know what goes on to produce the output exactly. And you go for it, you don't have any understanding of it. Exactly, perfect. So that's what AI is. There's obviously an active field of research where we try to understand why AI is making the decisions it does. But at the end of the day, it's a black box. And that itself is in some ways dangerous. When you don't know why it's coming to the conclusions that it's coming to, you can run into problems. And then this last point is for the sort of the point we were discussing, whether it will take over our jobs or not. Most of the times so far, up till now, AI, what it can do is complete mundane tasks quickly, anything that's boring and repetitive. And so I think that AI can actually help us do our jobs better. But again, that's a sort of a personal opinion there. Here I have on the right, and it's so true as someone, who works with AI every single day. People with no idea about AI telling me my AI will destroy the world, and me wondering why my neural network is classifying a cat as a dog. And it really is exactly like that, where it doesn't always work the way it's supposed to, and it's just definitely a struggle to get it to work. And so it's so funny. I've had like teachers, my high school teachers, when I go back, telling me like they're from Ivy Leagues and all, and even though I'm telling like I'm in this field, this is not the way AI is. It's not yet that scary. They won't believe me. So
For sure.
Um, so my next question to you is AI sentient, which means can it think, experience, or feel? Those are human emotions. So is that something AI can do? Any thoughts? Or what do you think? It doesn't, maybe you're wrong, maybe you're right. What do you think? Can AI have human emotion? So we have a no. Any other thoughts?
I think it's interesting, maybe with how in the future, the more research we do on AI, how actually, AI can be more emotion focused and, relate to EQ. I think that would be really cool to see. And, fields such as healthcare, where, like patient relationships are important. I think that's one area where it matters for sure.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Oh, some AI can even dream and have a conversation. That's true. For sure. Yes, I feel we can teach it to simulate emotions, but I don't think it will actually have emotions. Yeah, so AI is, as of this point, is not sentient. Some of you may have heard about the Google engineer that was fired because he claimed that AI was sentient. The reality is, and kind of the comment we just got, if it can mimic it or simulate things, the models that we are using are getting bigger and bigger. And so what's happening as a result is that they can really replicate the English language. Like you can, if you hear an AI sort of talk that's trained on, the whole English dictionary, over like lots of English texts, and the model has billion parameters, it's definitely going to start sounding like a real human being. But even if the AI says something like I'm conscious, doesn't mean it's conscious. It's just replicating what has been fed into it, so to speak. AI can dream. I'll just quickly have a detour here and show you what AI dreaming looks like. I call it nightmare, but it looks something like this. So something for you to check out later. And what was the other comment? Yeah, the conversation, like I was saying, it's just fed on so much text, so it can't really think, it doesn't really understand what it's saying. It's just saying it and it makes sense, because again, these are all just probabilistic models. We have a comment here: as humans learn to work alongside the machines, we will have more time for leisure activities. Yeah, and we can only fully understand the complexities and limitations along the way. Research shows that education is the most important factor in preparing for technological disruption, and that your main asset in the future will either be a STEM degree or strong human skills. And that's really true, right? We saw like all the different fields that play into machine learning. And so here's a note. GPT-3 is the model that can make AI sound very human, but again, that doesn't make AI human in the slightest. So what's the math in AI? We kind of touched upon this already, but I kind of want to speak more about it. So essentially, math in AI, calculus for sure. Calculus, you do things like, if you have heard of it, like gradient descent, backward propagation. If not, that's okay. You'll hear it in a few years, I'm sure. Linear algebra, which people do either at the university level or later years of high school. You use things like eigenvalues, eigenvectors, matrices. Matrices is very huge. They're basically like tables of numbers. And then probabilities and statistics, of course, uh, that is being used all the time. Having said that, even if you don't know all of these fields of mathematics, you can still code things online using AI. So I want to show you an example so that I can prove to you that you don't need to know every field of math to get started. Obviously, the more you get to know as you continue your studies in AI, the better it is, because then you can a little bit begin to understand what AI is doing, why the models have been created the way they have been. So I just want to quickly show you, this is an image recognition model. I don't want to go too deep into this, but essentially when you show an image to this model, you input this image, you have filters trying to find out sort of important parts of the image. So like in these earlier layers, these filters are trying to find edges, lines, things like that. And these later layers are going to try to find more specific things like eyes and wheels, things like that. And eventually it goes through all these layers, and it outputs a probabilistic distribution of what this image looks like. Like, is it a car, truck, van, bicycle? What's the percentage of each that it's possible? So just remember some of these layer names, convolution, ReLU, pooling. And let me show you what it looks like. So if you look at TensorFlow, which is a Pythonic library, Python, by the way, is the language that is most popular for machine learning. And TensorFlow is the machine learning library in Python. So if you look at TensorFlow's website, they have a bunch of tutorials where you can just get started and you can run the code. This code is being run on Google Colab. So as long as you have a Gmail account, you can create your own Colabs, and it's essentially just a coding notebook where you can write code. Even if you don't know how to code, you can run it. Yeah, so let's try that. So let me just runtime run all here. So essentially what we're going to do is we're downloading this Safar 10 data set. And what this data set is just 10 classes with 60,000 color images. So let's download this data set. So this isn't even machine learning yet. We're just downloading the data set. Here's just to see what some of this data set looks like. They're pretty hazy pictures, but they're very, very tiny. This is the actual machine learning model. So it's literally just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. So this is the model, and you can see that these are the layers here: con, max pooling, ReLU, all the layers that we saw here in this diagram. Here, okay. And so here's the summary of the model. This is also 3 more layers of the model. And so you can see the full summary. And right now what it's doing, it's training the model. So it's gone through the data set 5 times. This is going to go for 10 times, and then we can see how well our model is doing. And if anyone has questions in the meanwhile, feel free to ask. This would be a good time as we wait for the model to be trained for 10 epochs.
For this specific example, we're looking at how the model is being trained. What are other ways, different models, for example, are trained?
Sorry, can you repeat that? There's some background noise coming. So
So we're looking at this model right now and seeing how it's being trained. We're watching it happen. Can you talk a little bit about how other models and AI might be trained differently?
Yeah. So the model layers would look a little bit different depending on the type of model you're using. This specific model that we are using for image recognition is called a convolution neural network, or a CNN. But the whole process is the same. The layers will be different, but then you just run that model through your data set multiple times, and then this part is going to be very similar. And then, of course, you calculate the accuracy so that we know how well we did. Let's see.
And so, how do we validate that, models have been trained in larger projects?
Yeah. So the way we validate is we split our data set into 80-20 split. So 80% of the data is being trained on, and then 20% of the data, which we already know the label for, we test our model on that. Yes, I do program AI. Basically Python. Yeah, Python is the most common. R and other languages also have machine learning libraries, but I have always done it in Python. Okay, so this is just an accuracy chart here, and our accuracy is around 70%. Which is really good, because if, let's say, our model wasn't working at all and it was just randomly guessing, then we have 10 classes. So here's a mathematic question. We have 10 classes, right? If basically we were assigning a class at random, what would our accuracy have been? We have 10 classes. 1 out of 10. What would our accuracy have been? Any thoughts? We just assign a class at random.
Feel free to take a guess, guys. There's really no answer for taking a
And
guess.
try. I'll give you a hint. It's 1 out of 10. You will be getting right. So, what's the percent? It's 1 out of 10 equal to 1 out of 10. 10%. Yes, I see it in the chat. 10%. Yeah. So if our model had not learned anything and was just guessing stuff at random, then our accuracy would have been 10%, but instead our accuracy is 71%. So that's pretty good. Okay. So I want to now look at some case studies now that we have talked more about machine learning. You've seen an example in code. We talked about this before. We had a student say that, yeah, AI is being used in healthcare. And that's indeed very correct. I wanted to show you an example that I had done. This was from an internship at a healthcare startup. Specifically, they were focused on healthcare insurance and making an app where people could connect with doctors, enter their healthcare insurance card information. So my task was to have this app automatically get the member group and bin ID. The normal way people have been doing is if someone asks you for your member group and bin ID, you just type it, right? What could be an easier way to get this information out? How would you design this app? Any ideas? Yeah, the camera could scan the image for information. Yeah, so the way I designed it was essentially I had people highlight the section where the member group and bin ID was, because it's not always the same for every single health insurance card. And then I used machine learning to basically get the text and scrape the text off. And that way the person didn't have to type anything. Of course, if there were any mistakes, they could go back and correct it. But you can do this using machine learning. So that's one case here. Another one for healthcare that's very interesting is chest x-rays. And so you can have a radiologist, look at these x-rays, and it's very time consuming. Look at these x-rays and tell you if this person has some disease or not. But instead, what if you used a machine learning algorithm very similar to kind of the CNN that we talked about that I showed you in code? And what if that model could just spit out in a matter of seconds or minutes whether this person had a particular lung disease? And so this is an example, this is an example of how AI can help doctors' jobs and how help doctors do their job faster. Yeah, any question?
I'll just hop in and add a little bit more about, how, we were talking about how math is involved in AI. I know Haripriya has mentioned multiple times that AI is just math. There's a lot more than just the numbers that goes on and behind AI. We were talking a lot about how, how we can solve these problems. And I think in math, a lot of what we do is problem solving as we get older. A lot of us shy away from the math fields just because, when we're younger, we have math anxiety. But as we get older, we're more involved in problem solving, looking at how we can create different solutions. And that's what AI is doing. It's using all these different machine learning algorithms, pattern recognition, coding, putting all these elements together to solve these problems and create new solutions. So I think that's something to keep in mind, is that AI, conceptually is solving problems together.
Yeah, it's essentially the application of math and coding to solve very interesting problems in very different domains. So with that said, I'll talk about a very different domain, retail industry, basically like shops, stores that you buy clothes in. One internship that I had with Nordstrom, and basically I used machine learning to predict cancellations. When does you can do cancellations in any sort of way. It could be when does the person cancel their order, or when does the store cancel their order, and depending on different features like what sort of things happen prior to the cancellation, and you can predict by seeing again past data. in the cloud, sort of what I'm doing at Microsoft is using AI to use it to predict revenue and predict what sorts of features are people using together, using machine learning that will give us more revenue. So that's another prediction and AI application. Autonomous vehicles. This uses, again, similar technology to image recognition, but this is specifically called object detection. So it's a little bit different. But if you're in an autonomous vehicle, there's a machine learning model that's running, that's trying to find if there's like a dog or bicycle or car. There's philosophical implications, of course, right? Because what if, and perhaps you've heard this, like, what if there's a grandma and a baby and a thief or something, or someone who's out of jail, walking on the street, what if your car had to hit someone, there was no way out, who would you hit? And so there's all these philosophical questions, of course, that come into making these machine learning models. But this is yet another example. So future of AI. AI, as you can see, it has already entered every industry. It's definitely going to have such a large presence. So we need more and more AI coders. And we definitely need more girls. We saw the number that Ruby showed us, like it's so tiny. And we need more girls to give input, because we talked about how AI can be dangerous if we are not working with the proper data sets. And sometimes, people don't even realize a data set is sexist or something if they haven't, sort of walked into those people's shoes. So we need more girls to give such input. And especially when AI is sort of forming the basis in so many fields, now is really a good time to get involved and be part of those decisions. I'll give an example of where AI, without the input of women, how it was sort of failed and never took off. I believe Amazon had an AI that used to go and check resumes and kind of predict if this person would be a good fit for Amazon. The idea being that it would save time from recruiters. Recruiters wouldn't have to manually check each resume. AI could do it quickly. And then, of course, you have your recruiters, you have the software engineers interviewing people for the job. However, at closer examination of how this algorithm was working, what they found out was that this AI algorithm was preferring males over females. And it was actively, like, if there was, like, I went to women's college or something like that in their resume, they would rank the woman lower. The reason being that in the past, most of the software engineers at Amazon were males. And so the AI was just training on past data. And so it started to, not prioritize women at all. And so that was actually, thankfully, never put into production. But as you can imagine, that there might be several AI algorithms there that are, unfortunately, have a bias. And that's why we need a diverse group of people to be involved in making AI and in making those decisions. What if you asked AI to ignore the gender or race of a person? So it's definitely not as easy as just turning on or off a switch. There could have been ways, definitely, like maybe weighting things differently, that we could have done. Maybe we could have eliminated all references to gender before running the algorithm. I think that there's definitely use to AI algorithms, and even in this case, perhaps it could be useful. But there probably would have had to been more work done. They just shelved it, but I imagine that if we would have done some sort of pre-processing on the resumes so that we eliminated all references to gender, that maybe the AI would have worked better. It's a good question. Any other questions? If not, I can talk a little bit about the camps that I run during the summer. So the AI and Visual Arts Camp is generally the first week of August. It's for grades 5 to 12. So I think everyone here would be eligible for it. There's a short application for it that comes out generally around January. It's just 1 week. Oops, sorry, it is not 4 hours per day. This one is just 2 hours. Let me just change that here. It's just 2 hours per day. And essentially it explains you like the application of AI in visual arts specifically. And we culminate the camp with the startup pitch competition. So it's specifically like, can you find an application of AI in visual arts? And you also get to make your AI plus art gallery. And there's no prerequisites. So I can quickly show you the website here. If you want to know about like when the camp's applications are out, then the first thing I'll ask you to do is scroll all the way to the bottom of the website and then just put in your email address here where it says, please sign up to be notified of our opportunities. But here, if you want to see this, and I can put this link in the chat here. Give me a second. You can see like all the different models. This one is not familiar to you, convolution neural networks. You can see all the different models that we are working on and like all the different applications, drawing, painting, fashion, sculpture, film. You can see some of these art galleries here. So I'll just quickly open that. Some very interesting pictures. And then some of our pitches here you can see. So the winner of the startup pitch in our high school division was Money in a Go, and middle school division was Pixel Speak. So basically this project was to, if you use your app and you use a machine learning algorithm to, look at any painting, can it predict the cost of the painting? That way, when you make your own painting, you know how much you can sell it for. Maybe you have a $1 million painting and you didn't know that. Pixel Speak is for like visually impaired people. Like, can you have an app that that explains to you, what the painting looks like? So that's our AI and visual arts camp. That's again for grades 5 to 12. Then we have our very hardcore AI machine learning research bootcamp. So this is university level. In fact, we teach you not only undergraduate machine learning, but some graduate machine learning, so like PhD level concepts as well. This one is 6 weeks, 4 hours a day in the summer, and so that's June and July. It's for grades 8 to 12. And once you learn the theory and the application, you get to work on 2 research projects, one with the university and the other you have an option to work with a university professor or individually. Again, there's no coding or math prerequisites, but we go pretty deep into math and coding. But that is something that we catch you up on if you are not familiar. And so you can see just the number of models that we cover over here. And it's really covering from scratch, how exactly each of these models work. You can see how many Python libraries, web dev skills, all of these languages that we are learning. You get to write your own research paper and poster, and we present it at the end always in a nice machine learning conference. So if you want to see the past projects, you can just check out this website. Again, just put your name in the mailing list if you're interested in learning about our opportunities. But you can see these were, this one was with the Spanish professor. This one was with Singapore Institute of Technology. It was in aerospace. So there's a lot of interesting projects. One of my favorite projects that students did one year was, we had a student who loved playing chess with his grandpa, but he was kind of thinking about the time, like what if his grandpa passed away, who would he play with? And so he trained an AI model to replicate his grandpa's chess moves so that even after his grandpa passes away, he can play against this AI to remind him of him. So there was another interesting one where this text was in Italian, and kind of there was this whole controversy of who actually wrote this Italian text, which philosopher. And even though my students didn't know Italian, I don't know Italian either, we used machine learning to train a model to kind of predict, who the author of those texts were. also how to date the text, what time they were written and things like that. So there's a lot of interesting various applications like we talked about, classifying retinal diseases, classifying melanoma. So lots of options are there. And yeah, so just make sure to sign up for a mailing list. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, do you mind talking a little bit about, I know when we first talked, you love describing the projects that they do in the AI boot camps. I remember you saying that they're applied to society in real life, which I think is so important that I think it's amazing that, Meta Plus is giving them the opportunity to apply these projects in real life. So do you mind talking about how how seriously these projects are taken in terms of how, effective they are in society?
Yeah. So definitely these are projects that, especially when we work with professors, these are projects that are going to be published. And that not only the professors are making use of this, other professors, they read these research papers, they also make use of it. And I can show you here an example of the kind of work that students do. So they really gain a very deep familiarity with all the machine learning models and kind of understanding like all the different vocabulary, and they code everything by themselves from scratch. So you can see the explanation of a model. So this project in particular was for the Spanish language and kind of understanding when do people drop the word K, which means that. And so they have, the motivation, data set, model, testing, results, conclusion. And then they also have a paper which they learn LaTeX, which is the language that this is written in, and then they write this paper explanation. You can see the mathematics that's coming here. And yeah, so just a variety of different applications.
I have a question. So do the students choose the projects themselves, or is it do you give them options?
Yeah, the final project is something that students can choose. So we usually have a few projects that we are doing in conjunction with professors. So students can choose one of those, or they can create their own. Like this one, for example, is done with the University of Buffalo. This one, the students chose by themselves what they wanted to do. So you can do it in a field that you are interested in.
Okay, thank you.
They also do a mid project. So our mid project was kind of examining 17th and 18th century science text and kind of predicting which gender wrote it. Did males write it or did females write it? And so here they have their explanation, and you can see all the code that they have written.
It's really amazing, I think, what Meta Plus is doing. I think it's an incredible opportunity for everyone. I know a lot of people here are wondering how they can get involved in middle and high school to get involved in AI, do these really cool projects. So if you're not taking a research class in school or an AI or a coding class in school, this is an amazing opportunity either way to learn about it and then also do a final project. So definitely go to the website, get on the mailing list, and find more information because I think it's amazing what you guys can do with this this boot camp.
Yeah.
So if there aren't any more questions, I will end us off. Give me one quick second. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Thank you guys for coming. I really, really hope that you learned a lot from this workshop. I know I was learning just as I was listening to Haripriya. It's a really amazing opportunity what we've been able to give you guys, and I hope you guys are able to take this with you. Not only the opportunities we talked about, which are Meta Plus, that's obviously an incredible opportunity for you guys to look into, something you can do after school, to go farther in AI, but also if you weren't as knowledgeable in AI before, you always had these peaks of interest. I hope that this answered a lot of questions. If you have any questions, you can reach out to myself, Ruby Arun. My email I can put in chat, and then Haripriya, who is our absolutely wonderful speaker and role model for sharing her experience, her emails in chat. I'll put mine, and you can also reach out to Meta Plus, which is the organization. The organization that we partnered with for this. But does anyone else have any last questions? Awesome. And then I do want to give one more shout out to Lori Kim. I know a couple of us on here were at Lori's workshop Friday. Huge thank you for organizing the workshop. You guys can check out more on our website coming soon about that. But I met Haripriya through Lori, and they're all part of our female role models community. So thank you to Lori, Haripriya, our team members here, Matali, Prisha, all of them, Kashvi, for working with us, making this happen for you guys. Stay tuned for more workshops. I believe our next one is a biomedical engineering workshop. And check out our female role models community. Thank you guys for being here. If you have any questions, you can stick around. Otherwise, you're free to go. Thanks for being here.
Bye, Ruby.
Bye. Yeah, I think that's all of them. Thank you so much. Let me stop recording.